It is Wednesday, April 10th, 5:45 a.m. Pacific time. I'm Jonathan van Clute with Stock Navigators, here to talk about the markets and see what's going on this morning. But before I do that, real quick reminder, as always, please subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Welcome to the new subscribers. Hello, hello. Good to see you. And leave me feedback, comments. Throw it in the comment box below if there's any symbols you'd like me to look at, or anything you'd like me to explain further, or anything I can do to help you in your trading. Let me know, and I will do my best to get you what you need. All right, let's take a look at the S&P 500, which is where I always start. And right now, we've had this big push up, and it's been kind of sideways, right? There's this relatively small range here. It's been kind of bouncing around in here for a few days. But look at this. We're right at the trend line, and right now are bouncing off of it. Now, we're not bouncing with a huge amount of momentum. So I'm a little cautious about it up at these levels, especially given that we're talking about the all-time high is up here somewhere, and so we've got a major sell zone overhead, and the momentum has been just draining out of this the oscillator for a while now. So I'm kind of nervous, a little hesitant about any kind of long-term commitment to the long side, but certainly for a day trade, oh yeah, there's long opportunities, no question. I was short Monday, long yesterday, so whatever the market gives you at any given day as a day trader, you can take it. So you don't have to worry too much about the longer term trends, but it's always, always, always important to at least know what it is. Because if we were right up here, right up against the sell zone or something like that, and the oscillator momentum was maybe much lower, that would definitely skew my bias, and I would be much more likely to be wanting to take whatever short setup the market hands me that day, with the possibility that there is significant follow through from the weakness on the longer term. But for right now, the 50 SMA is up. There's no debating that at all. On the 60-minute, however, take a look at this. We have double topped here, up at this level, right up at about 2,900. Oh, gosh, almost on the nose. And human beings, we like our round numbers. We have a real thing for round numbers. So the fact that we've double topped right at 2,900, I don't think that's accidental. There is something significant to be gained from paying attention to that. But even more significant, right? We double topped and then we pulled back, right? And now we're coming back up. So technically speaking, we're still higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, etc. But then we kind of have an equal high, double top, and we've broken this. Now, that by itself is not necessarily enough to make me immediately switch my bias or anything, but it is the first kind of warning shot across the bow, if you will. It's the first indication that maybe things are not quite so rosy, especially given that we have crossed below the zero line in the oscillator and the MACD. MACD actually crossed below the signal line back here. And we have come down with some momentum. There's a bit of energy behind this, and now we are pushing right at the zero line, trying to get up over it. A few minutes ago, we were actually above the zero line. Now we're just barely below it. So there is a fight going on right now for the bulls. They do not want to give up. They're desperately trying to hang in there. And will they be able to do it or not? It remains to be seen. Right now, price is right at the EMA, and actually I forget now. Is this my 21 or is this my 50? I think this is a 21. Yeah, this is a 21. Did I change? I thought this was a 50. Hang on, let me just make sure this is actually a 50. Oh no, they're both 21s. I'm sorry. I've been changing my EMAs lately and adding some longer term ones, and I forgot I hadn't done it on these charts. So these are actually 21 EMAs. So right now, price is right at the 21 EMA and could go either way. So when we get the opening bell in a little over a half hour, it'll be really interesting to see what happens after the market shakes out its kind of morning wiggles, which it normally goes through. But given that the oscillator has come down and down and down and down and down, and now has actually gone negative with some force. I mean, you can see before it went negative, but not any kind of force. There's just no momentum at all. These are just routine little pullbacks. This is not really quite so routine. It's not catastrophic or anything. I mean, we've gotten lower on a pullback before, but it's just like I said, it's that first indication that maybe something is not going all that well for the bull trend. And certainly after a move like this, without any kind of a significant 50%, 61.8, something like that retracement, it would be due. And if we get that, then that would indicate that we've got a complete cycle here. And so we would be looking at something like, an A, a B, a C, something like that before being able to march higher. But will we get it, or will this actually be able to push higher? Will the bulls hang on there and push it up? We'll have to wait and see what happens. But again, as a day trader, I kind of don't care because I'm going to be trading the smaller time frames anyway, and just looking for my usual setups. So anyway, that's where we're at on the S&P. Let's take a look at crude oil. And I do see your request, silver by the ounce on HSGX. I'll take a look at that at the end, just so you know. Okay. All right, crude oil, real quick. It's just continuing to march higher. I mean, there's not a whole heck of a lot to say, really. It's just in a bull trend, and it is continuing. It's kind of simple as that. So there we go. I mean, that's about as simple as I can make it. The oscillator is gaining in strength. It's still continuing higher. So this trend looks to have picked up some steam. The momentum has increased. 21 SMA, 21 EMA rather, is certainly pointing up. There's no question about it. Every pullback to the 21 EMA has been your entry. Those have been great buying opportunities. And you can also notice that the MACD line, of course, confirming that as well, crossing above and a little bit below on pullback, and then crossing above. It's making higher highs and higher lows, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. So your indicators will do the same thing as price, right? We're used to looking at price action in terms of higher highs and higher lows and higher highs and higher lows, and that kind of pattern. Your indicators will do the same thing. When a trend is really in force, you will see. In fact, I mean, from all the way back here, you can see the low here, and then we had a high, and then we had a low, and then we had a high, and then a low, and then a high, and a low, and a high, and a low. You get the idea. Your MACD will continue to do the same thing. So sometimes the oscillator will as well. Not always, but right now anyway, it is making higher highs. It is gaining in strength, gaining in momentum. So this trend is working on picking up some steam. And that's not that shocking. I would say the next, significant sort of hesitation point, resistance point, or whatever is probably up in the area of this previous congestion. So somewhere right up in here is where I would kind of expect to see price stall out a little bit and go a little sideways, just like it did here and here and that sort of thing. So we'll have to see if that follows through. But right now, anyway, the trend is up. I don't know about jumping on and chasing it after it's already pulled away from the EMA. I would prefer to have a pullback for an entry. But again, this is a longer term time frame. So as a day trader, I may or may not care so much. Right now, anyway, we do have kind of a double top on the shorter time frame going on. You can see it right there, but it's still higher highs and higher lows. And if we can make a higher high out of this, if we can push higher, then we'll be golden. However, if we do that right now, it's looking like the momentum is pretty low on the 60-minute oscillator. So would we be able to set a new high and break the high of the one on the oscillator? I don't know. That might be kind of a tall order. I mean, you can see if I zoom out a bit, the oscillator doesn't typically get up much higher than one, or at least hasn't been for a while now. This whole move. So I'm not so confident in this market being able to really do that. Obviously, the market can do whatever it wants, but yeah, I'm not liking that double top and then how much lower the oscillator is down here. It's as simple as that. So if we set a new high up here and the oscillator's, down here, that's a significantly bearish divergence. And I would be really cautious about that and be looking to take advantage of a pullback because then that could give us another entry, right? We did get another pullback to the 21 EMA, which would manifest on the 60-minute chart as some kind of divergence and weakening, etc. So that's what we would be looking for. You could see here was a divergence here. All right, oscillator was weaker, price was going higher, and then we had a lovely little beautiful pullback. And then once the oscillator crossed back above the zero line again, boom, you want to be to the long side. It's a lot easier to figure these kinds of things out on the smaller time frame when you understand but the bigger time frame is up. That means don't trade short, right? Just don't even bother if you're looking for a longer position. Now, as I just already mentioned, if you're a day trader and you're going to be in and out in minutes or maybe an hour or two or something like that, then yeah, you can take whichever direction the market presents. But why not go with the wind at your back, right? If I have a choice of going long or short as a day trader, and I know that the big trend is up, well, I'm more inclined to take the long. Can you take both? Yes, of course, you can play both directions, but you better understand the short nature of what you're doing if you're going counter trend. All right, take what you can get and get out. Do not hang on and expect big gains. Just get a scalp or whatever and then be done. But your longer term day, even a longer term day trade, is going to be with the direction of the trend. So I'd be looking for a pullback, get a divergence here and pull back just like we did here. And then once you see the pullback, look for your something like the oscillator crossing the zero line, MACD crossing the signal line, something like that to give you a signal that, all right, the momentum is changing, the balance of power is changing, we're shifting to the bulls again, which is what the uptrend, the longer term trend is to the bull side. So get in sync with that and you will do well. All right, let's take a peek at gold. And gold, I got to say, is fairly close to canceling out this what I saw as a bear flag, right? And I mean, yeah, certainly there was, if you were prepared, there was a nice trade to be caught there, no question about it. So there was opportunity, but I was really looking for that. I was really looking for this flag to continue to the 100% extension. And could it still happen? Yes, it could, but at the moment, it's looking kind of like it's probably canceled. Now, if you look at the 60-minute, we'll notice something here. The market came down, right, lower lows and lower highs, and then it started to crawl up. Okay, and right now, anyway, it is crawling up, and it is up over on the daily. It's up over the 21 SMA or EMA rather. On the 60, however, it's kind of gone sideways at the top of this zone here, and right now, price is stuck right at the 21 EMA. And if we zoom in, take a look at this, notice also we have an oscillator that has gotten weaker, weaker, and now really weak, while price has gone higher and is trying to maintain that high. So I'm not so sure this has a whole lot left in it. So the question is going to be, is this simply a lower low, a lower high, and maybe a lower low to hit our 100%? Maybe we get that after all. Or is this going to be a lower low, a lower high, a higher low, a higher high, and then maybe even a higher high? Break that, and then we know definitively that this uptrend is done, or rather this flag pattern, I should say, is done, and the market is wanting to head higher. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. Right now, though, my feeling is that with this oscillator getting so much weaker and price still trying to hang on and push higher, I'm feeling a pullback coming one way or the other. So it's just a question of whether or not it's going to form a higher low or whether it's going to actually be the beginnings of a pullback, maybe all the way down to 100%. So maybe this is actually still intact after all. We'll have to wait and see, give it a little chance to follow through. But that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. Oscillator on the daily, the bears are in control. They've been kind of losing control a little bit here on this rally. We've got this rally, but if this is a bear rally, then like I said, we're still bear. We're still lower low, lower high, and then we may yet make a lower low. Right now, we don't have any definitive decision. We are in the middle of nowhere. We're right in the middle of this move. So we got nothing. We got a lower low, a lower high, a lower low, only slightly, admittedly, but a lower low, and then nothing. So just be cautious. We don't really have anything confirmed to go on yet. All right, take a peek at natural gas, and not a whole heck of a lot to say about natural gas right now. It is just still kind of grinding along, very, very small range, very small momentum. There's just not a whole heck of a lot going on here with natural gas. It has the market has gone to sleep. Basically, this market is just not doing a whole heck of a lot on a daily basis. Now, intraday on a 60-minute basis, there's stuff to be had. We had a nice big push up just in the last couple hours. And right now, anyway, price is kind of digesting that move and trying to figure out what it wants to do, because at the moment it is right looking to try to push this level here and break that, which would be a higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low pattern developing. And maybe we get that. It's possible. However, here's what I don't like. And you know what I'm going to say, right? Look at that oscillator. Look how divergent that is. If price actually does push higher and the oscillator gets maybe to here, that is a very, very, very weak momentum on this move. I wouldn't really trust it. I would be really concerned that this market wants to pull back a bit more. I'm still thinking it's entirely possible that we get a double bottom here, or you could even call it a triple bottom because there's sort of two already. But I could see this market pulling back to test that before being able to march higher. And of course, there's also zones down below. We've got two significant buy zones down below. This pink one here is kind of your last line of defense going back a while. It's still on my chart. Yeah, there it is. So that's this low here. And if it gets below that, then all bets are off. This market is definitely going to head down. But right now, it's looking like it wants to hang on to this level. It's just kind of quietly, sleepily accumulating here. But short term, that oscillator, very divergent looking. It's looking weak to me. So trade cautiously here. There's just not a lot of direction, a lot of momentum either direction. So take what you can get. If you grab a day trade or something like that, that's fine. Just protect your profits, take them, and you don't have a real strong trend to jump into or anything right now. It's just very sideways. So it's a little bit tough. Trading sideways markets can be more challenging. So just trade cautiously, of course. All right, Bitcoin, real quick. It's just hanging on to its gains. I'm really sort of impressed. It is not giving much back. Bitcoin is just really trading in a very narrow range here after this huge push up, and it's hanging on to those gains. This is a very impressive move for the crypto bulls. So we very well could be in the beginnings of a new bull market in crypto. What we really need to see though is a pullback to form a higher low and then a march higher to break the higher high. That is really the signal we need to see. We don't have that yet. So could this all just give up the ghost and come crashing down? Of course it could. We just don't know yet. I do see the oscillator momentum getting very, very weak. But when it's moving sideways, that's not that surprising. I mean, you can see what it was doing here right before that huge move up. Again, it was just really sideways and not really doing much. So it's gone kind of quiet again. This is what Bitcoin tends to do. These huge, crazy, sudden, shocking moves and then just quiet, sleepy sideways for a while. Pretty typical. So we'll just have to give it some time to percolate and see. If you are really super bullish on Bitcoin, then you might see this as an accumulation zone. This could be a good time to add to positions or something like that. But technically speaking, we really need to see a pullback to form a higher low somewhere and then march higher. So watch for that. Otherwise, just kind of keep yourself protected, trade carefully, and don't let Bitcoin catch you by surprise, because if you were to go long at this level and suddenly we get this move but in reverse to the downside and you're not prepared to get out, you don't have a stop in the market or something like that, you could get hurt and it'd be no good, no fun. All right, let's take a quick peek at I can't talk, HSGX for our friend Silver by the Ounce. Love your name, by the way. Hello, come on. Why aren't you giving me my symbol here, HS? Oh, because I'm typing on the wrong thing. Well, that would do it. More than one computer, type on the wrong keyboard. It's funny how things don't work. All right, let's take a peek and see what we got here on HSGX. This is Histogenics Corporation. Okay, this is a chart I have never looked at before. So what are we seeing? Well, let's start by I need to add my goodies here. Let's add my MAs, add those, and add my awesome MACD. Come on. Sorry for the delay here. I wasn't prepared. All right, let's get rid of this real quick and just duplicate this chart. And let's just arrange them. Okay, there we go. We got our weekly and we got our daily. All right, now, what do I see? What do I see? What do I see? Well, the first thing I see is, wow, this market came down. It got kind of whacked. But it's a low. I wasn't actually looking at the price. So, wow, this is a penny stock. Oof. Yeah, you know what? So right away, I don't like this because it's a penny stock, and I just don't like really trading things that are so thin and so low priced because they're just too manipulable. Yeah, so that's my bias. I'll just say it right there that my bias is not a fan of anything that's down at 20 cents, especially after it's come down so hard so far. That's brutal for years. I mean, whew, that is a rough ride. Unless you're short, in which case it's a great ride. But however, that being said, looking on the weekly time scale, I do see a weekly divergence. Right, the oscillator is getting higher. It's making higher lows while price is making lower lows. And the oscillator is building in strength while price is really going nowhere, right? So, maybe there's some momentum building behind this, perhaps. But again, my problem is at 20 cents or so, under a buck, a lot of people could be speculating on something like this, and there could be lots of acquisition happening because it's just so cheap. If somebody's got a decent bankroll, they could buy a lot of this for very, very, very little actual money. So, yeah, anyway, there you go. Now on the other hand, you can see that same divergence playing out on the daily, right? Look how low the oscillator was there, and look at it here, look at it here. So the oscillator is increasing in strength, and technically, right this moment, it just crossed the zero line. Look at that, 0.02. It barely even qualifies, but it is technically above the zero line. But that being said, I mean, it's gotten above the zero line lots of times, right? So you can't just use that blindly as a signal. And the price action, there's nothing to go on here. We just I mean, if I zoom in here, I mean, look how many days it was flat. Look at that. I mean, like barely any movement at all. It just, yeah, I don't like it. Now, look at this also. We had a big gap up for whatever reason, gapped up almost double or over double actually from like 13, 12 cents to almost 30 cents. Huge gap up. And then look what happened. Sellers came in and just said, no, you don't, and slammed it down hard. They had just there was no prayer. It just wasn't going to happen. Yeah, the gap up excited the bulls, right? They start pushing, going, oh, it's gapping up, go go go, buy buy buy, and then the sellers come in and just kill them. And so anybody who bought that gap is hating life right now if they didn't already get out. That is a lesson to be learned: is don't go chasing gaps unless you really, really know what you're doing, and that is your play, that is your setup, and you know how to play it. Chasing gaps can really burn you bad if you aren't prepared to get out super quick. So yeah, I can't get excited about this chart. I'd love to. I don't mean to rain on your parade or anything. I'm sorry about that, but I gotta say what I see, and what I see is something I would not want to touch. There's no good trending action to go by, and it's just too low priced and too thin. There's just not enough momentum, not enough action. So I would stay away from this personally. If you trade it, just be really, really careful, please. All right. Okay, that's it for me. Went a little long this time, but happy to take a look at your stock for you. If anybody has any other symbols you'd like me to take a peek at, please do put them in the comments below. I will be glad to do that. I got to go get ready for our premium chat room now. I'll be starting that in about 5-10 minutes or so, and then we will kick off the opening bell in just over 20 minutes. So look forward to another great day of trading. So make it a green day, everybody. I hope you have a good one. Oh, no worry. Yeah, so you were looking into it because they're getting taken over with a merger. Yeah, that the problem with that is that's one of those buy the rumor, sell the news kinds of things. So guaranteed, especially down at these prices, there were insiders who knew that this was coming. In fact, heck, they might have been buying this whole time. Buy, 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 just quietly, quietly, quietly buying, and on the first sign of a huge double, I mean, because that's 100% return right there in an instant, right? So why wouldn't you take that? I don't know I don't have volume on this chart right now, so I don't know what kind of volume we're looking at. It might be insignificant. But anyway, yeah, mergers and all of that. The news, we're big believers that the news is always late and usually backwards and wrong. I got to stick to price action. So, but again, thanks so much for bringing it to my attention. Anybody who's not subscribed to the channel, if you're watching this for the first time, welcome. Please do subscribe and give us your feedback and comments. We would love to hear them. All right. That's it for me, Jonathan Van Clute with Stock Navigators until Friday. Today's Wednesday. It's hump day, everybody. So, take that as you will. All right. I'm going to have a great day of trading ahead. I hope you do too. Talk to you on Friday. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. Whoops. Still in my pen mode. All right, bye.